So yes, I finally got a haircut, but the annoyance of pre-recording videos is that in the next few uploads I'll look less like this and a bit more like this. Yes, I haven't really made many videos recently, and it's weird, I haven't really made any Doctor Who videos for quite a while. It may not seem like it just because I haven't been making that many videos in general recently, but I haven't actually recorded a Doctor Who video in quite a while, even though I have loads of Doctor Who videos pre-recorded that I recorded a few months ago that still haven't been uploaded. I haven't actually spoken about Doctor Who like in this kind of format for a little bit, and yeah, it's because I've kind of been in a bit of a weird phase at the moment. I've kind of been not really in a Doctor Who bubble, if that makes any sense. I've been getting more into Marvel quite recently, and yeah, Doctor Who just hasn't really been at the top of my agenda, whereas for most of 2020 and the early parts of 2021, it most definitely was. So ultimately, I haven't really been, in the Doctor Who groove recently, but despite this, I still want to make this video because I was thinking about it and, being experienced to other properties recently with stuff like the Snyder Cut and all these kind of things. I just kind of thought to myself that, yeah, I kind of want to make a video on this because it's only gonna end badly. And what am I speaking about today then? Well, if you couldn't have guessed by the title and the thumbnail, Doctor Who Series 13 is something that I just don't really see going well, or even if it is okay, I don't think it's going to be quite as good as it could be, and ultimately, judging by what we're getting, it's probably not going to be all that good, and I'll explain myself because I'm just kind of rambling here, and I apologise for another negative video. I mean, I've done many negative videos recently, and it's a coincidence, I swear. I'm just being incredibly pessimistic recently. That and views. But yeah, Doctor Who Series 13, I think the reason why I just don't really see this going well, and admittedly, we don't know much about Series 13, we haven't got any trailers or any plot announcements really in terms of like fixed episodes, but I think the reason why I look at Series 13 and I'm worried is because there are a lot of factors coming together that just don't come together. And one of the biggest things is Jodie's departure. Is she going to leave? Because if she does leave, then I think we're really setting ourselves up for a really underwhelming final series for a Doctor. Now, Series 13 has been cut down to 8 episodes or 7 episodes. I'm not quite sure if the 8th episode is the special or if it is actually 8 episodes and a special. I don't know. But ultimately, 7 to 8 episodes. It's been cut down from 10? Is it 10? Yeah, it's 10. Why did I forget? Why did I forget that? But yeah, it's been cut down from 10 to 8 or 7. And the thing is that obviously this has been done to get it out for 2021. And I've gone on record to say that while I'm grateful we could be getting a Doctor Who series in 2021, I'd much rather wait until 2022 for us to get a full series than us to get in 2021 and get less than a full series. And that might sound rather greedy from me, but my thinking behind that is mainly because Chibnall clearly has a creative vision, like all showrunners of TV shows or all writers and directors of movies. They have a vision and they plan it in their heads of what they want to do. And ultimately, when you change plans for anything other than the content of the film, when outside things come in and mean that you have to make unnecessary changes to your production, that doesn't usually end well. Let's use the Justice League as an example for this, a fairly recent example. Obviously the Snyder Cut came out recently, and obviously the original Justice League, there was a mandate that it was got to be 2 hours, no more, no less, 2 hours, and yeah, you can really see that the pacing massively suffered in that film. They cut so much good stuff just to keep it 2 hours. Now, I'm not saying the Snyder Cut should have been 4 hours, but you catch my drift here. That ultimately shortening that film and cutting a lot out really weakened that film and really made it not live up to its full potential, because there's so much that Snyder, wanted to do in that film that ultimately just got cut or never really found its way in anyway. So yeah, changing a creator's vision unnecessarily always usually ends bad. Usually when you're cutting stuff down in terms of runtime, it usually ends in a very rushed product. And that's what I'm worried about in Series 13, because we've got an original 10 episode series being cut down to around 7 episodes. And while that may sound not that much, that's only 3 less episodes. Realistically, when you're planning out a series, that is quite a lot. Those are 3 episodes that you're gonna cut. And I've said it before, if these are quote-unquote filler episodes, I mean episodes that don't really play into the plot, that's a bit of a shame, because these episodes can often be some of the best in the series. The stories that aren't connected to the arc can usually have quite a big creative focus behind them from the guest writer, coming in and usually concocting perhaps one of the best stories of the series that really drill into the characters. Usually it's that kind of magic in a bottle idea that ultimately just makes the creativity in these episodes quite, a bit more, and usually sometimes conjure up the best episodes of a series. So if they are cutting some of those episodes that are deemed unnecessary, that is a bit of a shame, because there are probably some real gems in there that they could be cutting out. But even negating that, the thing is about a series of television is that pacing is so important. You need to keep things flowing. And personally, I don't think Chris Chibnall has been an expert on really flowing his arc throughout a series. I thought Series 12, that was a particularly poor aspect of that, was how the Timeless Child arc was flowed throughout the series. But ultimately, you need to have it flow throughout a series. You need to evenly pace these revelations out, these stories out. But ultimately, if you're cutting out these episodes, you just go bam, yeah, action, 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 arc, 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 monster, 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 and then it's just going to be quite fast paced, quite rushed, and ultimately you're not going to have much time to breathe. And yeah, that could be an issue. If you've got all of this stuff crammed into these certain number of episodes, A, the story Chris Chibnall is trying to tell could be weakened because he hasn't had enough time to, fulfill it, or ultimately it could just be rushed because it's crammed with so much stuff that ultimately it's just going to feel jammed and overblown and just not very good. There might be a load of good concepts that just feel utterly wasted in this series. Now you could say that yes, but ultimately some of the ideas that might have been scrapped from Series 13 could be added into Series 14. And I would say yes, but this has kind of been put into jeopardy by Jodie Whittaker's departure, in inverted commas. We still don't know if she's leaving. There's a good chance she may not be leaving. I'll be honest, I haven't really heard much on that in terms of officialness, which is why I haven't done any news videos. All I keep on seeing is leaks about so-and-so's going to be playing the next Doctor, and I don't know, I've heard so many names now that probably none of them are concrete. But ultimately, if she does leave, and there's a possibility she could leave, then this will probably be a hugely underwhelming series for her to end on, and also, you can't really tie up aspects of her reign in the previous Doctor's series, because when crafting a new Doctor, you're gonna want to put them on a clean slate. You're gonna want to start arcs for that incarnation's reign. You're not gonna want to just have them being V2 of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, if that makes sense. That's why Moffat felt such a compulsion to tie up all of the Translator stuff with Matt Smith, despite the fact he originally planned to do it in Series 8, because he felt that that's so tied to his Doctor, and he wants the next Doctor, Capaldi, to start on a clean slate. And actually, it's quite a good comparison to compare Matt Smith to Jodie Whittaker, because ultimately both of them had their third series changed because of whatever. With Moffat, I presume it's because of the immense workload he had in terms of Sherlock and, the 50th, that ultimately he decided to do a series that was probably intentionally less full-on than Series 5 and 6. Just fun adventures that would be unique and, fun with a style, but ultimately it would kind of negate all of the important arc stuff that we've seen in 5 and 6, with the intention of a return to form in Series 8 after the 50th. But ultimately, because Matt Smith didn't want to stay on for Series 8, ultimately you then end up with a weird compromise of a series that isn't bad. I enjoy 7 more than most, but ultimately, in the context of it being the 11th Doctor's final series, yeah, that's a bummer. It's a real shame that that's the one he went out on. And I feel like it could be the same with Jodie. It might not be a terrible series, but it's going to be a real shame for that to be her final series if it does end up rushed, jam-packed, and yeah, just a bit of an anticlimax with everything being thrown in. We need to think of what's being included in this series. You've got a new companion in the form of John Bishop's character, and it seems like we're going to get at least a couple of stories with just the Doctor and Yaz on her own, so therefore that's a lot of your series, you know, taken up then. You've also got Sontarans, Weeping Angels. I've heard rumours of Autons. I've heard rumours of all sorts. I've heard rumours of Omega, but then when do you not hear rumours of Omega, let's be real. I've heard rumours of all sorts, and not much has been confirmed, but ultimately you're thinking, are they going to bring the Daleks back? Are they going to bring the Cybermen back? Are they going to bring a Master back? Probably. Then you've got the Roof Doctor and the Timeless Child thing that was just opened up at the end of Series 12. You're gonna think they're gonna have to continue that in some meaningful way. And with you looking at the Sontaran and Weeping Angel stories, supposedly being two-parters, don't quote me on this, but supposedly they are, that's a heck of a lot to throw into your series. All these new monsters returning, these new characters, everything with the Timeless Child arc, and then also make it a satisfying finale to the 13th Doctor, all in the space of a reduced episode count. Yeah, there's a massive chance that this is not going to pay off. The thing is it does just feel like Chris Chibnall is just throwing stuff at a wall, but I'm sure that it wouldn't feel this way if the series had actually been paced out properly, if we'd had more episodes in between. But it doesn't, it just feels that we've got all the episodes are going to feature returning monsters, all of them are going to be quite big in scale, and you've got so many themes set up in this series, introductions, conclusions to arcs, introductions to characters, departures of the Doctor. Yeah, it looks like this is going to be jam-packed, and it's either going to feel like it's got no time to breathe, or ultimately it's going to feel like there's certain arcs in here that ultimately aren't going to get a satisfying conclusion. Or if they're not tied up in here, then that's a bit of an awkward space to then have your next Doctor carry over this massive thing set up with the previous one. And it's going to make Jodie's era feel incredibly anticlimactic, because you can't view it as one era. Even the 9th Doctor, even though you could argue that it's technically the same as the 10th Doctor's era, Eccleston still had an arc that was tied up at the end of Series 1, and unfortunately Jodie could not get that, or if she does get that, it could be incredibly unsatisfying. I've gone on record to say that I'm not the biggest fan of Chris Chibnall or his creative vision for the show, but ultimately I think he deserves to wrap it up as he would have intended it, to wrap Jodie's era as he would have liked to, and to essentially, yeah, just wrap up everything he's created as he would have intended. I think putting mandates, shrinking the episode count, and putting all these restrictions on him, whether it's for the good or not, ultimately I just feel that, yeah, this is going to result in a series that could be good, it could be enjoyable, but ultimately it's most likely not going to be that great, or even if it is okay, it's not going to be amazing, because ultimately it can't be, because it's not the original plan, if that makes sense. I don't want to be too negative, because I realise that some of the elements that look like we're going to get in Series 13 are actually pretty exciting, and I've made news videos saying how much I'm excited about the return of the Weeping Angels, the return of the Sontarans, and John Bishop looks like he's going to be a great addition to the TARDIS team. But ultimately, it's just, you look at it as like one package, and ultimately, yeah, I just don't get good vibes from this, to be perfectly honest with you. It could go either way, but the way I'm looking at it right now, it looks like it's not going to be great. And that is a shame, because especially if it does end up being a Doctor's final series, I really want it to be good, but looking at all the elements, that could be its biggest issue. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, and if you want to see more content, not just Doctor Who, but a variety of different content as well, which I'm going to be trying to bring in the coming days, I guess, weeks, months. Hopefully I'll actually be getting back to making regular videos. Yeah, I've said this before and I haven't stuck to it, but hopefully I will. So, you know, if you want to see more videos, then hit subscribe, and if you like the video, obviously like it. What the button was made to do. And yeah, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm being far too skeptical, basically because we don't know enough? Do you agree with me? Do you have other thoughts? You know, whatever, drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd be really interested to read your thoughts, and let's start a discussion. That is always great. But yes, thank you for watching this video, I really appreciate it. And of course, stay safe guys, thank you guys for watching, and of course, a goodbye.